Hey guys, Matt, Cichlid Dojo, back with another update. Today is not going to be a very fun update, but I think it's always good to share the goods and the bads, and unfortunately today's not one of those good days, but I thought I'll make a video anyways on this. So as you could tell from the title, there's been a big loss in the community tank, and you're probably already noticing, if you follow the channel, the difference in the tank or the lack of a single fish. So this 180 gallon community tank was originally meant to house the Cichlids deppy. It's a pair that I could not keep on their own. I tried it initially and the male was far too aggressive for the female. I had picked this pair up from a buddy, wild-caught pair, and it was something that was on my list to try eventually, and when the opportunity came up, I jumped on them. Unfortunately, I'll start with the good side of it. Doing them in the community definitely helped them for the short term, where the female was able to do well. There were multiple spawns that occurred, maybe 5 or 6 of them in the short period of time that I had them. And the group community thing I've done for a while, especially with Carpentis, to sort of tone down the aggression. And that male deppy, if you follow the past videos, he was definitely the tank boss in here. He, if anything, would dominate some male Carpentis that were bigger than him. And I also had the Kerberos Alfari in here, as you can tell. Some other various fish. I kind of joked about this tank basically being the overflow tank, nuts just kind of morphed into the community tank, but it seemed to work for the deppy in the short term. And I got maybe 2 batches that I grew out, or I am growing out, of the deppy fry. And then after I was basically gone for a weekend, everything was good before that. The pair would basically be guarding fry in the pot or guarding fry in the breeder box in the upper left-hand section. Most of the other fish would kind of be in the middle to the right side of the tank. And you know, I added this Via Synspilum, which is definitely the largest fish in this tank. Not the most aggressive, has never been, but I did notice a little bit of flaring between the Synspilum, which I'm guessing is a male, and the deppy. And nothing out of the ordinary. Never really saw any lip locking, never any wounds or anything. If anything, the deppy was doing a good job at keeping the Synspilum to the right side of the tank. And that deppy had squared off with multiple Carpentis doing the same thing over time, and you know, I thought nothing of the sort. But I looked in the tank after the weekend, and I noticed that the deppy had his eye popped out, which I'm assuming is the Popeye disease or issue. And part of his face on the same side as the eye was a little bit swollen. And so I immediately pulled the fish, pulled the male deppy, put him in his own 10-gallon community tank, started treating him with antibiotics, lowered the stress, covered the tank, did everything I could, and that fish had unfortunately passed within maybe 6 to 8 hours of me doing that. I definitely don't think that was the cause, obviously, but you could see the fish struggling in the tank while he was still in this community. So, very unfortunate. The whole reason I have this set up is for the deppy, so they could coexist as a pair. You could see those amazing colors and the breeding activity. Unfortunately, I think maybe a little bit of overload and stress on the male, as he was always trying to, you know, fight to protect the fry. Female is doing that as well, but the female appears completely fine. And maybe the male just, with too much stress of some of the other fish in the tank, he developed that issue. So, you know, we all have those bad days in the hobby. This is definitely one for me. You know, I definitely failed with the species, and it always kind of sucks to experience that, but it happens. Nothing else you can do but try to learn from that experience and move on. On the bright side of things, I do have some of their fry that I'm growing out, and I may just grow out a batch for myself, maybe 15 of them or 20 of them. They're really small right now, so I wouldn't expect to see them anytime soon. But in the meantime, it kind of puts things in the air as far as what I'm going to do with this 180-gallon community tank. You know, I had thought of trying certain things. Umbies was on my list to do, and I don't feel comfortable, you know, beyond maybe 2 to 3 years of having them in this tank. So it would be a short-term thing if I were to get into that species, and then I'd have to move on with a pair because I think it would be too large for this tank. There's other species on my mind that I'm thinking of trying, but I definitely am going to mix things up and change it around. So these Alfari, the Cribohero Alfari, they are going out this week. So someone is they're going to a new home, all 5 of them. And I think that person's going to really enjoy them. There's three Carpentis in here, Blue Texas, which I'm positive 1 or 2 of them has spawned multiple times in the past when I used to do the community. My guess is they're all female, completely different size range from the males that I kept. And so I believe I'm going to make at least 2 of them available. So message me if you're interested on those. This big, I would say maybe 11, possibly 12-inch Synspilum. This fish is available. I'd rather do it locally, so message me on that fish. There's a 5-inch Firemouth as well available, and of course the female Deppy, the breeder, is available. So gonna change things up, figure out what I want to do. Maybe leave in the comments if you have any great suggestions on what I can try next, but also message me if you're interested in any of these fish. So I'm ready to move on and change things up for this tank going forward. So anyways, guys, glad to share this with you, even though it was bad, and hope you enjoyed the update. And until the next one, bye now.